It is mailbag time here on Seattle Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. You guys got questions. We got answers. And I got to tell you, these mailbag shows are a ton of fun to do. And you may be wondering how you can be a part of our next mailbag show here on Seahawks Today. All you got to do is be subscribed, turn on notifications so you never miss a moment on our live shows, and you can be a part of our next mailbag segment. Let's get to it right away. Starting with Kevin. Kevin G writes, who would you rather have at quarterback next year, Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, or Aaron Rodgers? That's a good question, Kevin G. Let's take them one by one here. So if Geno's back next year, then you're looking at about a $38 million cap hit and such that he would be owed. And for a player of Geno's caliber, that's not bad, financially speaking, when it comes to that sense. Kirk Cousins, I think, is going to get released from the Atlanta Falcons, and he will likely play somewhere for a minimum contract and force the Falcons to pay him all that money. And then you got Aaron Rodgers, who I know it hasn't gone great for him in New York, but he's still going to demand a pretty decent chunk of change. With all that said, if it's just next year, if you're telling me I don't have to extend Geno, if he can just stay on his current contract, I'll go with Geno for next year. But I'm not committing to Geno for the long term, for the next 2, 3, 4 years and beyond. I can go with Geno for one more season with his current contract, but I'm not ready to commit long term to Geno as far as that goes. But between those three, yeah, I would just go ahead and ride out with Geno with that current contract where things stand. Dan the Man Miller with a $20 super chat writes in, what do you think our games next season look like? Very good question. Let's pull up the Seahawks' future opponents for 2025, who they will face next season. They will obviously get their divisional opponents, the Cardinals, Rams, and Niners, home and away. At home, they get the Texans, the Colts, the Saints, the Bucs, and the Vikings. And then on the road, they'll face the Panthers, Jags, Titans, Commanders, and Steelers. So with all that said, looking at these opponents for Seattle next year, I don't think the Saints are that great. I don't think the Colts are going to be that great. The Vikings should take a step back next year, I would think. Texans should be pretty good. Bucs should be pretty good. Falcons, we'll see. I'm pretty optimistic about Penix, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Panthers are going to be bad. Jags are going to be bad. Titans are going to be bad. Commanders, I think, will take a step back. Steelers are going to be kind of who they are. So with that said, you got an interesting mix of some tough games and then some teams that aren't that great next year. I think they can balance that. I think it's manageable for what the expectations are. The schedule is not easy. It's not extremely difficult either. It's kind of middle of the road. And, you know, with that said, I don't think our expectations should change just based on what that schedule looks like. Next question coming in from 12's Fan for Life wants to know, is Clint Kubiak the top candidate for the OC job? So, as of this recording, we've seen 3 candidates come up for Seattle's offensive coordinator position for interviews at this point in time of who they've discussed and potentially looked at bringing in. And the first 2 left the building without a contract. Klint Kubiak comes in, and he's being pursued by the Browns and a couple other teams as well. From people I've heard and kind of the sources I've talked to, it seems to be that Kubiak is the leading candidate in the clubhouse. Now, here's a question I have that honestly I don't know the answer to. But let's just say, for all intents and purposes, what if Klint Kubiak gets some offers around the league? Cleveland, maybe it's back in New Orleans, maybe it's elsewhere, who knows? Is Seattle willing to get into a bidding war for Klint Kubiak potentially? I don't know the answer to that question. I would like to think that they don't want to get outbid by anybody. But Klint Kubiak, I would lean towards yes, but it's not necessarily a given that they're going to get him because other teams are going to want his services as well, potentially speaking here. So Klint Kubiak, he's the favorite, but Seattle's got work to do if they want to be assured that he is their guy. If they focus in and decide they want him, they might have to spend top dollar to bring him in. We'll see. Should the Seahawks hire Klint Kubiak? What do you guys think? It's our pin comment today. Weigh in. Let us know. Type Y for yes, in for no. Chime in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Game Time is the place to go for the best seats. The lowest prices guaranteed. Whether you're looking for tickets to sporting events, concerts, theater productions, comedy shows, and more, Game Time has got you covered. Here's how it works. You choose the event you want to go to. Maybe it's somewhere in Seattle, like a Kraken game, or if it's a concert, whatever it may be. You choose the event you want to go to. They got the prices listed. You choose your seat, see if you like that seat or not, and then you're checking out on Game Time with Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, all major credit card providers. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. They have their super deals. If you see a super deal, that's a deal you don't want to pass up on. You can also customize your seat. They have their seat views, so you can get the visual, see what that seat is like. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Check out Game Time today. Game Time, proud partner of Seahawks Today. Glad to have him on board here on today's show, and appreciate them sponsoring our program. Check out Game Time today. All right, diehard Seattle wants to know, should the Seahawks trade Riq Woolen with the hashtag Seahawks there? Very good question there, diehard Seattle. So a lot of rumblings about potentially moving on from Riq Woolen here. And I'll say this. When you look at Riq Woolen, this is somebody that I haven't given up on yet. Had a very good rookie season. Wasn't so great his second year. Third year was very up and down for Riq Woolen. You only spent a fifth-round pick to get him. And there is some talk that if he is back next year, that he could be having to compete for his job. With that said, I don't think there's going to be much return that you can get for Riq Woolen on the open trade market. Personally, I'd rather keep him and play out his rookie contract and then potentially go from there and see if you want to let him walk in free agency down the road or if you want to extend him, what kind of contract that would be. I would rather just let the cards fall as they may and see what you potentially have in Riq Woolen. I wouldn't trade Riq Woolen myself. Maybe you get an offer you can't refuse, but at least at this point, I'm not trading Riq Woolen. Should Seattle trade Riq Woolen? What do you guys think? Type T for trade, K for keep. Well, in the comment section, let us know if Seattle should move on from Riq Woolen or not. Banana writes in, hashtag Seahawks, what do you think of Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame in the second round? Also, go Notre Dame. Yes, go Notre Dame. I'll be rooting for the Fighting Irish in the national championship game. Hopefully they can beat the Ohio State. That'd be great to see, which is so funny to me because here we are, and we're talking about Notre Dame of all teams. They're the good guys in this national championship game. I know, it's hilarious. With that said, Benjamin Morrison, very good football player there at Notre Dame, playing the corner spot. He was a freshman All-American a couple of years ago there with Notre Dame, first-team All-Independent player. And, he looks the part. 6 foot, 190. I think Benjamin Morrison could be a good fit potentially for Seattle. They have a need at the corner spot. One of the reasons why I'm against trading Riq Woolen right now is you need to figure out who's going to be the starting outside corner next to him. It can't be Josh Jobe next year. I think it's not so great if you have to replace 2 corners potentially. So with that said, Benjamin Morrison, maybe you bring him in. He competes for a starting job. I don't think it's a bad idea. Chad writes in, last question. How deep in the playoffs do you see the Hawks going next season? I think we'll make the playoffs, but I'm not sure how far we'll get in the playoffs. NFC Championship more or less. What's your opinion? I said when we began the Mike Macdonald era that the first year was kind of the year for Seattle to figure things out with Mike Macdonald, to who they want to be, to find their identity. And then the second year and beyond was going to be for Seattle where they take that next step to be contenders in the NFC, that it's a 2-year plan that was in place. And I think that if you get the reinforcements you're looking for in the offensive line, if you get some help at edge rusher, if you get some help at corner, then Seattle's got a chance to compete. And I think the expectation should be this offseason, if you're John Schneider, if you're Mike Macdonald, what do we need to do to get this roster to where it needs to be to take that next step and contend in the NFC? That should be the goal. Will they be able to do it? That remains to be seen. But I think next year, everyone's goal in mind should be, let's get this team to the NFC Championship game and let's see where the cards fall where they may. Appreciate you joining us here on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. For continuing Seahawks coverage, subscribe now for free for the latest happenings in your favorite team all offseason long. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.